Thanks.
Yeah, so this is my best friend Karama. We know each other for 10 years now.
How you doing?
I met him in a library, at the high school library. Remember the first thing we said to each other?
Nope.
We stayed after school and stuff, right? For like, what clubs? Like Gay Straight Alliance maybe, or Anime Club?
I was GSA, choir, anime, and art.
Oh yeah, there was an art one, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then we just have a bunch of mutual friends through that. And so, yeah, we've been good buddies ever since. Yeah.
All right.
So first topic.
Talking too much.
We're going to be talking this whole time.
The concept of money.
Okay. I'm acting surprised like
money is fake! No, I'm just kidding.
It is though.
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not. It's fake and real.
Yeah.
Because we need it. But I think it's neutral.
Ooh, I get to eat now, right?
Yes. Oh my god. I think a lot of people see it as like an evil thing because they like in a lot of money. People make a lot of money to like people are evil. Like follow the money and that's where the evil. That's the saying. I forget. But I used to have that perspective, and I realized through like things that I've learned that like as the more you have that perspective and more attached you are to that perspective, the more you're like actually distancing yourself from abundance and money because you're like, oh, that's bad and that's evil. And so I try to keep like have a neutral perspective towards it and see it as like a tool. Like you can use it in a bad way or a good way, and it's up to you. Like anything else, I think.
Okay.
Else.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the power in money is definitely in the person who possesses it. A lot of the evil that we see with money is because that the system is set up in a way. I say the system, I know that's a word, but the system is set up in such a way that it often falls into the hands of people who don't care as much. We can just say that, and those people they use that money in a way that doesn't care as much.
Yeah.
So that's where like we tend to like see the harm because since they have such a large net worth, it's a large percentage of the money. So we associate their behavior with the money, but it's really not that.
What is it?
With great power.
Great power.
Comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Just fight it.
And people can abuse that. I feel like people, I mean, there are obviously greedy people in this world, but I think it comes from a place of lack. Like, maybe some kind of childhood trauma that made them feel like they weren't enough or didn't have enough, or like we're poor or something, but then they grow up with like, I mean, not necessarily, I'm just like an example, but like, you know, like, and then people feel the need to accumulate all these things and this money to feel like more whole. But in actuality, they're like missing a piece of their lives. But yeah, so I don't know, I just try to keep a neutral perspective on money. I think I heard someone talk about it as like, see money as air, you know, you breathe it in, you breathe it out. And if someone next to you is breathing in a lot of air, like, it doesn't mean that they're like taking air from you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people have the perspective where like money is finite, but I mean we're printing money daily.
Okay, that's true.
I don't know. I think abundance is real. We're just trapped in this society of lack and this, you know.
I think there's definitely like a personal abundance, and I think it becomes a financial abundance. But I definitely think that like finance is a limited sector. If you have people behind you, that's all you ever need, ever, no matter what social system you're in. And the way it's set up right now, having people behind you makes you money. You know, if you have likes, if you have employees, you know,
connections.
So what happens at the end is that like you make personal connections and it makes you money, even though maybe what you might be doing at the moment, talking to somebody directly, isn't valuable. The networking value you can get out of that sometimes can be worth money. Which in the end benefits you more than having not done that, having just gone home.
one interaction with someone could change.
Right. So
a lot.
so the system has that gateway for like good behavior, so to speak.
Okay. That's a good point. Anything else you want to say about money?
It's definitely one of the most under-discussed topics.
You think so?
Yeah.
I would say one of the most discussed.
Nope, it's not discussed enough. There's definitely...
In what platform now? In your life?
Child education,
Okay.
and also in general. There are definitely places you can go to learn about money, but money is a lifeblood. The fact that you can find out more about food recipes than you can about money is disturbing.
I think where your attention is, because I think there's plenty on finances and money.
You have to seek them out, unlike food sources. So it's food sources find you.
I guess so.
There's recipes on Channel 7 News. There's like zero finance.
But like the Dow and the NASDAQ and happens like every day.
But
Stocks.
that's the meaning of that.
What's the what?
That's the meaning of that.
Okay.
Finance is complicated, so they just let you be stupid. Like,
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I think we're gonna experience some form of overhaul anyway, definitely within our lifetime, maybe within the next 10 years, because I think the system's already super unsustainable, and like, I think there are changes that are happening behind the scenes right now with this, and like cryptocurrency is gonna be a thing, or it already is.
That's something that really scares me. Like,
it scares you?
On a deep level.
What scares you?
Because cryptocurrency is more destabilizing than any war.
Destabilizing?
Destabilizing.
How?
In a good way, but because the foundation of human society right now is currency. Instead of the banks in the United States government, you just have like value.
Yeah, so it's in the hands of the people rather than like a central
So then the
ownership.
people who used to be the U.S. government and the people who used to be the banks are now very angry.
Yeah, good.
But they have all the money currently.
I mean,
So
no, but other than that,
that's where it becomes
I mean,
dangerous.
I think the government's going to experience an overhaul too. And it is in the midst of it, actually. All these disclosures coming out right now this summer, like a lot of big name people in politics and media and Hollywood are all coming out. And coming out as, you know, like bad, evil people.
Bad people.
You know, like stuff with
People.
pedophilia and yeah, it's bad stuff, but you know, it'll all come out, and just have to be like, I guess, vigilant, emotionally prepared. I don't know how you be emotionally prepared for this, but I don't know. Let's go to the next topic.
Yeah. There we go. Hands cooking food. Don't worry about it.
Ooh. Yeah, it stops recording automatically sometimes.
How long would you try veganism? Hi, my name is Crown Joseph, and I very much like chicken. However, I will say I've been hearing some things recently about veganism and its like impact. And the impact is something that really motivates me toward veganism. I like vegetarian food already. How long would I try it? I would definitely need to like learn a system and a way to like avoid eating meat first before I'd like say I'd commit to it, but I'm interested. I think 3 months is like a fair time.
Should try it out in general.
Yeah, definitely. I think after 3 months you could
how
say
you feel.
you see everything, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it takes much longer than that.
Right. That's a good point.
How long did it take for you to like adjust to veganism?
Well, I'm not a vegan, first off. I'd say I'm plant-based.
Plant?
The only animal product that I do invest my money in is eggs, and they're pasture-raised, organic eggs.
Pasteurized.
Pasture-raised from small farms. And it's like one of those cartons that like cost $7 at Whole Foods and have like a chicken of the month like thing in it. Like I make sure I get my eggs from, you know, like ethical source. But otherwise, I do not eat meat. But I'm not like super, like if something's touching me, then I'll eat it. I'm not super, like, you know, picky when it comes to that. Like going out with my family, it's difficult because they all eat meat, and especially when I went to Canada recently and I did eat some things that like touched me. But so I don't invest my money in dairy products, but today at Blick they were giving out free bagels and cream cheese, and I had some cream cheese. But I am trying to cut out dairy, like, completely. It doesn't make me feel good either. And it has to be, like, I think studies show that it has to do, like, inflammation and stuff, and acne and hormonal issues, so I'm trying to stay away from it. It's like once in a blue moon, you know, when it's out there and free. Like, free food is hard to, like, when it comes to food is, like, really difficult for me to be, like, self-controlled around.
Oh, yeah?
Which is me.
Food is tempting for you?
Food is what?
Food is tempting for you?
Yes, and it was actually very hard for me to transition off of eating meat.
I think dairy is my my trigger.
Really?
Yeah, I think dairy is probably like my one gateway between eating meat and not eating meat. Like, it's not very necessary for me. I just happen to do it. But like dairy, I definitely like consume a lot.
Like milk or cheese?
Like I put in my coffee. Like,
Cheese
I
and
eat
coffee.
I eat certain cookies and like I want milk with it.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm not really a huge cheese fan. I like put cheese on a sandwich, but like other than that, I don't eat cheese.
I actually loved cheese. Actually, it's a lot. I actually bought ghee, which is like clarified butter, like a month ago just to try it, because I took an Ayurvedic test, which is like this ancient Indian holistic like health thing, and it basically measures like your levels of elements in your body and gives you a diet based off like how much air, space, or fire or earth you have in your diet. And I needed more like grounding foods apparently, because I'm too airy and fiery, and so that's why I bought ghee.
That makes a lot of sense.
What do you mean?
No, continue. Sorry.
But yeah, I was just testing it out, and I mean it's good, but I don't think I feel to invest in it again. Apparently it's like a superfood because it's like has tons of good fats, but I can get that from avocados anyway. But yeah, I'm like trying to completely cut it out, and I do want to transition to veganism at some point in my life. It's just like I love eggs. And I know there's egg replacers, but those are like expensive. I'm not in the place to splurge right now on that. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. One of these days. You know? Do you think you'll become like vegetarian or vegan one day?
Yeah, definitely. I think at some point at the near, like it's a direction I'm headed in. I just I'm definitely like very tempted by all the
I know.
carnal desires. Okay, it's good, dude. I'm not gonna say that in any other
Chicken?
way. Chicken's pretty good. I like eggs and chicken. Bacon gets to me sometimes, but like, I don't really like it. I eat it, but I don't really like it.
Well, once you look at see what happens to all the pigs in the barns, you do not want to eat that shit.
I like literally just turkey deli and like chicken cooked on a stove. Like, those are the only meats. If I could get out of those two things, I'd be vegan.
That's not too bad.
It's really it. And dairy milk, like drinking it after a cookie. Like I'm not into
Drink
that.
like oat milk. Have you had oat milk?
Oat milk is bomb.
It's so freaking
I
good.
need a regular source of oat milk.
Yeah.
I go to like, I'm not gonna say it, I'm not video. But anyway, I go to a certain supermarket. I haven't seen it there, but I think they would have it. They're the kind, you know, they're very sisterly.
Well, I'm gonna check the window. It's so loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very sorry. I don't
Sorry.
eat cherries.
You don't?
No,
That's
polite.
fine.
It's not polite.
You actually don't?
No.
All right. Next topic.
Yeah. Is astrology? I really don't need them though.
Okay.
Is astrology pseudoscience or legitimate, and why do you think so? Tough one, huh?
I could talk about this forever.
Okay, so my stance is this: there's a power in believing in something, and that power comes from inside. So the legitimacy of any topic is really based on you.
Yep.
I've definitely seen some things in other philosophies that have lined up for me, and at the same time, I didn't take to those philosophies. So,
Take to those. What do you mean?
like, I didn't see them and be like, okay, this must be some sort of truth fountain. I simply saw the relation. I said, okay, I understand that. It's saying something to me, but I'm gonna let that pass anyways. It's more how you understand as opposed to what way you choose. So if you're in a place where you feel connected, that's good for you. And if you feel that everything is some sort of game to you, then you're in a bad place. And
not necessarily.
well, everything is a game, not necessarily.
Oh, got it.
Like if it's all the way a joke and nothing matters,
Okay.
then yeah, then
Like
maybe you need to like look a little harder. I'm saying that like there's a pattern, and if you don't understand it, it just means that you're not looking at it right. Yeah.
Okay, a pattern. What is this pattern?
The pattern is, I don't know, the flow of the universe, like
God, source, all that is.
sure.
If you don't understand it, then you're not looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah, because
It's meant to be too complicated,
meant to be.
and I think that's something people have a hard time with.
It's meant to be too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you can look at it in a complicated way. Because I think,
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of people who think that this is all just random and chaotic, and then we ended up here, we're like monkeys on a speck of dust in the middle of nowhere. But I feel like that's such like a disconnected viewpoint, personally. I mean, but if it's their truth, then it's their truth, and like I respect that as long as they're not hurting people. But I think astrology, for me personally, I thought it was bullshit for most of my life, even though I bought like a tapestry of, the tapestry in my room with like all the signs and stuff, but...
It's big, guys.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I just liked how it looked, and...
So she covered her whole wall. Her whole wall.
It was funny because I think it was like kind of foreshadowing. Like I delved really deep into astrology this year, and I remember 2 years ago when I moved into this place, my roommates asked me like what sign I was, and I told them I was a Taurus, and in my mind I was like, why is that important? Like why people? Because I never really fully identified with being a Taurus because they're like seen as stubborn and fake. And there's part of me that's stubborn and like, but there's part of me that's also like really flexible and go with the flow. And when I got into astrology just this year, I learned about the rising sign and the moon sign. And the rising is how you, it's your ego, it's what you project out into the world. And it's Sagittarius, which is and his is Sagittarius as well. And it's like a mutable fire sign, which makes sense why I feel like spontaneous at times too, and like go with the flow and not as rigid. But I do have this rigidness about me in Taurus. And Tauruses are also known to be like sensual and like love food and love like tangible objects and nature and like sex and all the like the pleasures, what would you call it? Like the physical pleasures. Like I love that stuff.
Tangibility.
Tangibility, yeah, just like physicality. Like I love that. But I also have this like really passionate, I think fiery nature to me where I like to explore and go out and do stuff and try new things and stuff. And then the moon stuff was like how your emotions are, and like when I found out like all of that and delved deep into it and looked at my birth chart, like everything just made so much sense that it kind of freaked me out. And for a straight like month, every day I would do like at least a couple hours of research into astrology, and like I learned so much about. But basically, I think it's just so everything in creation began in it like at some point. We popped into existence at one point, and your birth chart is just the picture of the sky, how the sky looked like during like the moment you were born, the moment you began to exist. And I think that's just a blueprint for your life, and it's not necessarily like a fixed blueprint because of all the things that happen to you in your life. You still have like free will and stuff, but I think there's a certain like influence that like the planets.
Basically what you're saying is that it gives you sort of channels to follow in life.
Yes, exactly. I really like that. Channels to follow in life. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily fixed, like this is how your life's gonna be. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I think there's definitely something to it, and if you know that saying, like as above, so below, our bodies are made up of cells and atoms and and mechanisms that we can't see right now, but even though we can't see them, these things are still having an effect on our bodies, you know? And I feel like it's the same idea of where, you know, the things that are happening in the ethers, in the space, have an effect on us as well, even though we don't have like a direct experience with it. And so that's how I feel about astrology. It's like, obviously I think the sun has it, and the moon, and the gravitational pull of all this, of them, and all these planets rolling around. I think they do have an effect.
That's definitely my biggest seller, is that the fact that the moon dictates the position of the ocean, and we're 72% water.
Mm-hmm.
So there must be some, like, at least a minimal correlation between, like, human behavior.
Yeah.
Not just human, all life forms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really,
Definitely.
realistically, all life forms, but in this context.
Yes.
Specifically human behavior and the position of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be something. Just a little bit, probably.
I definitely think so. But yeah, it's really cool too, seeing that more and more people have been getting into astrology, and you know, Mercury retrograde's happening right now. Actually, like 5 or 6 planets are in retrograde apparently, and that's why. And Gary, it was funny at first, and then people are like, "Oh, Mercury's in Gary," and we're just like, "Okay." But
In Gatorade?
okay.
Alright.
But yeah, it's cool how people are becoming more hip to it. I do really see a correlation when someone tells me I met a Scorpio today, and I was like, that makes so much sense. I love Scorpios, by the way. But yeah, I think it's real, but that's just my personal viewpoint. You know, I think it's actually like enriched my life so much, the amount of information and knowledge I've obtained about my own path and my own personality and why I do the things I do and stuff like that. It's really helped me a lot. So, yeah.
Now, do you feel like you've ever had a situation where you've looked at your horoscope or something like that, and it gave you immediate direction forward, as opposed to just some sort of general feeling? Do you feel like there was a time when your horoscope saved you directly, or, you know?
That was a good question. I actually don't read horoscopes anymore. I mean, I didn't really anyway. It's just that horoscopes only account for your sun sign, and that is like literally 5% of who you are, honestly. Like, I don't want to like put a number on it, but it's such a minuscule amount of who you are, and that's why they leave it so general. And so I want to look at, you know, the sun, moon, and I mean the rising, and you know, my Jupiter and Venus and Mars and Mercury, and what sign they're in, what houses they're in, because that has a lot to do with your makeup as well, and what you end up going through in life, and the transits that are happening, and the gravitational pulls that these planets are making in the sky right now relative to your birth chart. It's just a lot of shit. There's a lot. You can like go so deep into it.
So it's not really worth, like...
No, no. For me at least, it doesn't really work. I like to look at the transits, like what's happening right now. So like what kind of angle, like maybe Jupiter is making to the Jupiter, where Jupiter was when I was born. And so they're in conjunct right now, which means that I'm going through a phase of like expansion and growth, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion and growth and optimism and wisdom and stuff. And I definitely feel that. I do feel it. But like other planetary transits are happening too that also have an effect, and I try not to go like too deeply into them either, because it can get to a point where you kind of like
cyclical thinking. Or,
and I'm just like, okay, I gotta live my life.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next topic. All right. Oh. Shame. These are targeted.
All the topics I was excited about are like getting picked.
These are targeted. I like this. Who are you?
Oh my god.
Right, man. All right. Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
The person who suggested this, I love you. I love you.
Please. Stop. Okay, so for me, shame is like a feeling you get where it builds a sort of weight on you, and this weight makes it hard to do certain things. And the weight, it feels like it comes from other people's opinions, but really it comes from your acceptance of other people's opinions. It's basically when somebody attacks you, do you validate that or not? And if you validate it, you can feel shame.
That's a good explanation.
Yeah.
When have you felt shame?
All my life.
Oh my God!
Okay, so a specific example might be one time when I was coming into work and I saw my boss at a meeting with some people I didn't know. So I ignored it, and then I saw a piece of trash on the floor and I walked over it. Kept walking. And then later on, after those people left, my boss came to me and said, "Hey, when you were coming in, did you walk over a piece of trash?" And I was like, no. And she said, "Yeah, the bosses saw you," and they were like,
"Oh my God.
Why didn't he pick it up if he works here? Because we saw him behind the counter later." And she told me, she said, "Oh, he's an exception. Don't worry about him." So basically, what happened was it was like a place where someone was defending me for behavior I didn't feel bad about, but like the fact that they felt they had to defend me made me like self-conscious about it. Like, oh, like why wasn't I paying attention, so to speak, you know? So it was definitely like I felt caught, you know? And when you feel caught, you can develop a sense of shame. That's a good example of how like you develop it. Like when you're caught doing something that you don't accept as who you think you are. So if you're doing something you think you wouldn't do,
you're sneaky about it.
Yeah, and then you sneak about it, and then you're caught, then you might be shameful about that in that moment.
That's a good way to explain it, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done some things in my life that I'm not proud of, and that I'm afraid of.
Delaney's a gangster. Sorry.
We're bleeping that up too. I've done some things that I'm not like the proudest of doing, and I know that it's all gonna come out anyway, like all the things that I'm ashamed that I've done, because for one thing, I'm on a path of, complete and utter and radical honesty, and I want to be like just real to the world and authentic in myself and not have anything to hide. I want to get to a point where I don't have anything to hide, and so there's some things that I'm still not 100%. I think I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know some things. I'm like looking at you right now. Alright, yeah.
That I'm not like super comfortable talking about just yet, but I know that one of these days it's going to be inevitable that it'll come out in one form or another. And like the main thing is like I don't want my family like feeling bad about it or something like that,
That's a huge theme in my life. Like there's a lot of things that like I would behave so differently if I didn't have the respect for my family that I have right now. And it's like, it's not that like, oh, like my family is saving me or anything like that. It's like who I feel like I would eventually become. I'm like, to go back to the theme, I'm too ashamed to be that person out of fear of like hurting the people who love me. You know what I mean? It's like,
person you want to become?
No, it's not the person I want to become, but the person I feel like I would fall into, It's more like a descent type of thing. Like,
okay.
Not in a bad way or in a good way, but like personal enjoyment, like certain things that you might personally enjoy, you want to like hide that from people sometimes because you don't want them to like assume things about you. This is like so like generic, and it sounds like
what, like masturbating?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, something like that.
I masturbate. I think you masturbate too.
Nah, I've literally never. Is that like fishing? Okay, no, alright.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. We all do these things that we think are shame. Sorry, are you done? Are you want to say something?
Lotion doesn't work.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I understand. Like, it's like there's like a certain self-expression that you feel you have to mute. There we go. Yeah, it's like a certain self-expression you have to mute, and you get used to muting yourself. And like that's where shame comes in, because you eventually become someone who like there's a section of yourself you fully mute all the time.
Oh my god. What section of yourself do you feel in mute?
I really like eggnog. And I never tell anybody, but I just want to drink it all the time. Eggnog is delicious.
Okay, so just a quick little intermission here. The sky is too beautiful to not capture it right now, so. And apparently my battery's running low. But, yeah. I ate too much, so I'm done eating. Took a break. He asked me what my most delusional... What was it? When was I most delusional?
No, I asked you when, what was your, like, deepest illusion that you ever carried?
Right.
Yeah, like... What was the strongest delusion that you, like, eventually, like, not necessarily overcame, but, like, what was one you carried and then let go of?
I think it was the fear.
Yeah.
Fear. That's all the delusion. I can actually say this. We kind of, like, brushed upon the topic, but ultimately I think it's fear. And
look at you smart in front of the camera.
I know, right? When I turn this on,
she said Keebler's cookies before.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was saying earlier how like a lot of people would look at me and think I'm delusional since I have so much faith and trust in the universe and all that is and stuff. But the fact is I think everyone's so deeply ingrained in this illusion that's been created for us, this matrix, that they're actually the delusional ones. Sorry to say. But we're waking up, you know.
And that's what I was saying, was that I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I am being asked to accept a new delusion of like simplicity, and I'm like not ready to do that. But that's what, not even from a person, but like it feels like from spirituality is being asked of me to like close my eyes is the phrase I keep using. And it's like scary for me because I don't want to willingly accept a delusion, but that's what it seems that I'm supposed to be doing, like some sort of humility lens.
Yeah.
I mean, more than humility, like a ignorance lens. Like some things we're not supposed to like really think about all the time. Maybe it's like maybe an overthinking kind of lens, probably.
They're overthinking lens.
Like a person who overthinks like the kind of filter they need. You know, but I'm not willing to let go of my overthinking. Like I feel like it's like my defense, I guess. Right. I guess that's what it is like overthinking and like being willing to stop, even though you don't know, like you have to process some things, or you can just like not get to it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that guy looked at me funny, whatever. Or that guy looked at me funny. Oh, he's like, his name was this. He was saying this way. Look at the music he was playing. What was I wearing? Okay, I could figure out maybe he thinks I'm like this kind of like. Instead of going into all that overthinking, I think my universe is asking me to like ignore all that stuff, and that's scary because I don't want to like be blindsided by anything.
Blindsided.
That's what I'm afraid of.
And that's what when meditation is important in spiritual practices, because you're not going to be blindsided by things when you're able to adapt to things and allow and surrender to the things that happen to you rather than react to them. You know, and I think we're on this autopilot mode where something happens to us and then we react to it emotionally. But like once you get into the spiritual practices, you train yourself, or you uncondition yourself, you decondition yourself to not react, but to like allow all these things to happen and realize that they're happening for a reason. Like the universe is doing, like life is happening for you, not to you. And that's like, I mean, that's what it is. And that's like one of my favorite quotes, and I try to think about that every day. And this thing is like, yes, you may be blindsided, and yes, like some things may happen that you haven't planned for, but it's about like being open to what you can learn through the thing that came up. You know, what is the universe showing you? What is the universe teaching you in this you know, what lesson are you learning? You know, because I think everything happens for a reason. And yeah.
Next question. Ooh.
Question.
Living by circumstance versus the freedom of living by trust.
During all the topics that I really liked.
I don't know what that means.
Say it was. This is literally what we're talking about.
What is this? What is it?
Living by circumstance versus the freedom of living by trust. I guess living based on external things happening, you know, like reacting to the world and stuff, like circumstances happening to you, or living by trust. And that's literally what we're talking about. Like,
okay.
And like trusting the thing. Trust.
Saying that it's okay and like it's gonna be okay or whatever.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So I guess we pre-talked about that one.
We did, dude. See, this is, you trust. When you trust, this shit happens. Oh, fuck. That's kind of nuts. Keep it?
If you want. I have my pile over here.
Okay, I'll keep that.
Barack Obama is a reptile. Have that.
Oh my god. I think he is. Alright, next.
I don't think so. I don't know why.
You don't know why you don't think so?
Yeah, I have this feeling that like presidents aren't like scaly or whatever. You know? Like I don't think I've ever seen his like tongue. I don't know. It's just like he's
disguises and shit.
Okay, but why would he, separate from other people, be a reptile? Like why him, and not like why isn't like Selena Gomez a reptile?
Maybe she is. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not. Mm-mm.
Well, I have the theory that actually, I personally believe in, is that the Earth, the world, is run by an upper echelon group of reptilian aliens, and a lot of people discuss this, and at first I thought it was bullshit, like David Icke and stuff. I was like, what is he talking about? But so many people have come out about this and saying the same things about it that it gets to a point where it's like, are they all hallucinating, or is there some truth to this? You know what I mean? Even if you haven't seen them, like people have also channeled information from, you know, the ether is a higher source, talking about these reptilians and their existence. And obviously I do believe in aliens. Like they're just, this has all just been kept hidden from us. And I think these reptilians who are in control, according to the theory, they thrive off of fear, and that's why they've created this fear-based reality for us to live in. And like all these, they've like conditioned us to react in fear constantly and stress, and they feed off of that. And they've done some other dark shit that I think will be disclosed to. But that's the theory. Like regardless whether or not, if they're reptilians or not, there's definitely a group of people who feed off of fear, but they're going down. I think they're going down. That's what I have to say about that.
Both Michelle and Melania are reptiles. Nobody else.
Yeah.
Go. LSD shrooms are being classified as Schedule 1, same as heroin, meth, bath salts. Okay, I don't know anything about bath salts. Okay. But I definitely think those substances should be restricted, but not as much as they are right now.
Yeah.
There should be like
Yeah.
alcohol restriction. Alcohol should be banned.
Wait, say that. Wait, you're like saying.
I said LSD/shrooms should be like the same level of alcohol restriction.
Oh yeah.
And then alcohol should be banned.
Alcohol should, no, yeah, for real though.
But I don't know. There are some people who should never do it, which is something I can't say for alcohol. Anybody can drink, you know?
Okay.
Not anybody can drink a lot.
But not everyone can drink.
But everybody can have one beer.
But not everyone should do shrooms or LSD.
Not everybody should do shrooms as they are. Or LSD as they are. I don't think so.
Even as they are. I'm
I
just
think,
kidding.
I think,
I don't know.
I think it's going to be too much for some people and send them in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
When they're not ready.
Right, they have to be ready. Like, you can't just force someone.
And some people might force themselves, and that's fine. The thing is, like, it can ruin something. It can really, like, do a lot of more damage than, like, alcohol. Immediately. That's the thing, immediately.
Right.
Alcohol, the long term, always does the same damage. But
what do you mean immediate damage? Or what kind of immediate damage?
like, it can make fear greater in a person.
Okay.
You know, it can send them away from health and happiness and send them toward the darkness and toward pain because they don't understand what happened to them.
Okay.
And when people aren't ready for vulnerability, and when vulnerability is forced upon that person, that's not a good thing.
That is true.
It's never a good thing.
I personally have never met anyone who's had. I know that's not true. I wouldn't say like people, because people have negative experiences, but I think it's all like how you see it. Because every experience I've had on like mind altering drugs have been like expanded. It has like expanded my knowledge and viewpoint of reality in like a really positive way. But some experiences themselves have not been positive. But each one has had a pivotal role in like my perception of reality and like who I am today. And because I think for me it's stripped down, like reality down to the bare truth of things, like because we go our day-to-day lives with this conditioning and this programming that we don't realize is programming because we're so used to it. We're like seeped in this daily, and to have all that stripped away is a scary process because it's what you're used to, it's your identity, it's like it's what you thought what reality is, and when your idea of reality is suddenly taken away from you, yeah, that's scary. But I feel like it was scary at the time when I had like an ego death on shrooms, but afterwards I was like, holy shit, like life isn't really what it seems. Everything is programming. Everything is conditioning. And it is a little difficult to live that way, knowing that everything is an illusion. Constructed, like social programming, conditioning. But I think more people are waking up, and like more scientists are actually becoming more open to implementing these mind-altering substances for like depression, for PTSD, yeah, exactly. Even like MDMA and stuff. And so I think in a controlled, like good setting, like good vibe place, I think it could be an incredibly healing and like expanding experience. It's definitely has been for me. And so I'm pretty biased in that regard. To go back to the topic though, I obviously don't think they should be scheduled that way. Obviously, like the government wants to have control over your consciousness and the way that you perceive reality, because that's how, I mean, not just the government, you know, big corporations, the people who are in charge, you know, they make these drugs, mind-altering drugs, like a dangerous, because they don't want us to think for ourselves and want us to disconnect from the reality that they've created for us and all this, you know, these programs. So that's why it is illegal to begin with, I think, because it's a threat to the system if we start waking up, if we start realizing that, you know, it's all fabricated. Because, yeah, that's how you control people, by controlling their consciousness. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say about that.
There you go.
About like 4 left. Pretty good. Would you rather marry a giant seagull or win a game of chess on a moving roller coaster?
Wow.
This is like the most profound question I think we've gotten so far. Man.
Marry a giant seagull.
Yeah, me too.
Pretty immediately. Took me a second. But yeah, that was easy. Reason being is because you win the game and then what?
And you vomit.
Damn, I'm good at chess on a roller coaster.
Chess on a fucking roller coaster. Like, no thanks.
Like, I could do it again. Let's just say this comes with the ability to do it again. I'm gonna be like, hey babe, wanna hang out? Oh yeah. Yeah, I could play chess on a roller coaster. There's like a fair in like 10 days. Like if you want to meet me in 10 days, we can get on a roller coaster and then I can play chess. Then you can watch me play chess on the roller coaster and you can be impressed by me that way. Like, There's such a specific power. Like, no, I'd rather just have a seagull and just be like, yeah, go get me some like shells or some shit. Like, I'll see you later.
Some Cheetos.
Yeah, steal somebody's lunch. Like, I'll see you soon. Like, that actually has some value, you know? Like, I could earn something.
Comes
like that.
home with like a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And like, honey, I'm home.
Here's
There's a
somebody.
giant seagull.
Bagel. Just drops it out of the ground. Like, yeah, thanks. Where are the kids? You forgot to pick them up again?
I mean, I guess it could be annoying marrying a seagull.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of annoying.
Yeah, too late, I guess.
Fecal matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, poop.
Okay, so sometimes when I make a movement, I have this intense euphoria that I can't explain. And it's just like such a positive moment that like, I honestly think people can see it. I leave the bathroom and like I'm like
glowing.
shy, and I feel like people are looking at me now because they know I'm so happy. So it's like, I just want to know if there's like other people out there who have these rebirths, as I like.
What?
You just like really just like become clean and pure and new again.
Yeah.
And I want to know if there's somebody else out there like me who just.
Oh yeah, dude. I feel the same way.
Who like takes the literal definition of dump and then just like water on a chalkboard, like clean. And you're glowing and you want to walk on your tiptoes. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what
like,
you want to do after you take a shit.
Yeah, just like, yeah, all the bad spirits are gone.
Out of
just
your
like,
body.
I'm expunged. To use that word again.
Expunged.
You have expunged.
Expelled.
Moment? Yeah, you have that moment where you like get up and there's like less of you there.
Yeah, dude. And yeah, I love pooping. I love it's a relief. You feel uncomfortable in a moment. You go to the toilet and then you release the thing that's making you uncomfortable. But I've also been doing enemas lately. Not in a what.
Let's get into poop health. All right.
Yeah.
So like, what does an enema do for you health-wise?
It makes me feel, I mean, for one thing, physically, like, automatically you feel lighter. You feel like you just released so much that you don't realize how much you're holding on to and all that gunk that's been accumulating until you release that. And then you just feel lighter and, like, mentally clearer, too. And it's just crazy how much the physical body has to do with, like, your mental state, because you do release a lot of that. And, like, you know, your intestines are pipes, and you know, when you're eating constantly, you know, these food particles get stuck to the lining of your intestines, and they're just there, and they weigh you down, and maybe they collect certain negative energies or something, and I don't know, but you don't realize that they're there until you do an enema. It's crazy. But yeah, I do that.
So it's really cleansing for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Super. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god. I'm trying to remember what this was. Oh, okay. Threesomes.
Oh. Okay. I don't even know what direction to take.
Hey, Mom.
I guess like, as long as like there's enough food on the table for everybody, you know, you can just put 3 plates out and that's fine. Like, let's say you're making a chicken, you want everybody to eat the chicken, you can just like, I know there's only 2 sides to a chicken, you can like cut the wings off, you know, and then like do the breasts, but do the breasts in a way where it's like a pile, and you can separate that between the three. And I think that's a way to think about it. You know, you just want to like divide the breasts between the three. You know, that's like
okay.
how you feed everybody. Everybody's gonna eat, and it's gonna be good. You know, rice on everybody's plates, carrots on everybody's plates.
Yeah, as long as everyone
just,
in it.
Just throw sausage where it needs to be. Just just do what you have to do.
A stuffed chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good perspective to have on it. It's like whatever you're into, man.
High future boss.
I don't care. You know what? Radical honesty. They're nice.
I like your mom. Mom, I'm sorry.
Wait, I don't think she knows what it means. Okay. Yeah, they're nice. I like them. I haven't had one in a very long time. But I like the idea of, or not the, I mean, I like watching my partner being pleasured, and that gets me off. And so if he's being pleasured, then I'm being pleasured. Like honestly, maybe 80-90% of my pleasure is derived from, well, maybe not that much. A lot of my pleasure is derived from my partner feeling pleasure. So that's an aspect of it. But it's also just like, I like watching too. And I don't know what it is. I think I also did it at one point to get over my jealousy, because I harbored a lot of jealousy before in my early days of high school and stuff, and I don't know, and then one day I was just like, I want to get over it. And I think I consciously made threesomes like a fantasy in my mind before I had one. Okay, this is going to get a little bit personal.
To me, the most interesting part is the decentralization of the process from the value or pleasure gained. As in, when you're in like two people, you're like doing it with your partner and also for your partner.
Yeah.
And it's hard to distinguish that.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're like, I love you, I want to make you happy.
Yeah.
But then also like, I want to be happy and I want you to make me happy. And like, those two things become the same thing, so it's hard to like, what do I want, what do you want?
Right, there's no delineation.
And it gets a lot easier when you're like a third party, but like in a threesome, everybody's the third party. Well, not all the time, but you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's the third party, so it's like everybody's thinking, what do I want out of this? And like, what can I contribute? And like that thinking, I think, is a little healthier.
Well, that's the thing, like sex, like ultimately it's just like you become one with the person or the people you're doing it with anyway, so like their pleasure becomes your pleasure and you kind of just exchange this energy. So it's like, yeah, the lines between like, what do I want, what does this person want, I guess they kind of dissolve for me, at least. Yeah. And it's just, it's about love.
That had to be the last one, huh?
I think that was actually a nice like progression of things.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely went on that scale. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had fun.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for the questions. People who answered, so like I think like 113 people saw the story and like 14 people responded.
That's rude.
But
that's like,
we got a good amount. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's a solid amount though, and good topics too, like really solid topics.
Thanks for that.
So just a side note, I had this idea when I was, I had a fever the other night and I was really delirious and I had all these brain downloads coming out of nowhere, and like most of which I forget at this point, but one of the ideas I had was to do this with Karan. And I just thought that'd be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always a good time talking to you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm glad I could, be here with you guys and be here with you. Hope everybody learned something. I hope.
That was fun.
Hope this precedes a lot of good fortune for everybody.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Now I need
Awkward waves.
Like, subscribe, hit the notification button.
Go to bed. Good night.